Tucked away in the heart of Epping, on Durra country, lies a green space that has been part of daily life for generations, Boronia Park. Tucked among tall gum trees and winding tracks, Boronia Park offers a natural retreat, a rare slice of bushland in the heart of suburban Sydney. But at the centre of this well-loved park stood a pavilion that had lost its way. Built in the 1960s, the old structure was damp, dark and disconnected from the needs of a growing, modern community. For years it served its purpose, but just barely. Behind the scenes, the local football club, the council and the community were working quietly and persistently towards something better. This is the story of how design, determination and deep community connection transformed a tired structure into a vibrant, welcoming hub at the heart of Boronia Park. This is Community Designs. At the centre of this community story is the Eastwood Epping Tigers Football Club. Let's take a closer look at where they've made their home.
The Tigers Football Club is a really good example of tradition that has continued throughout the decades.
The Tigers did start their year officially in 1952. The club was the first club in this entire area, and we're now in our 71st year as the Epping Eastwood Football Club.
Tigers are part of the fabric of Epping and Eastwood. It's in the name. They've been part of this community for decades now.
I've been with Epping Eastwood Football Club for 25 years. I played as a junior and then have been playing ever since. I wear many hats at the moment, so I'm the mini coordinator, I'm a Premier League player, I'm the assistant coach for Premier League, and I'm also one of the committee members. I now have two of my kids playing. One's playing under 8s, one's playing under 6s. My third one, he is turning 2 next year, and eventually he will be running around at Boronia Park as well.
I know that they've been here since the 1950s, which is really a considerable number of years. And when they were celebrating their 40th year, they actually planted 40 trees to celebrate that birthday. Those trees are dotted around this site, and it's kind of testament to their long-term emplacement here.
But Boronia Park is more than just the home ground for the Tigers. It's a place with its own story.
So Boronia Park is such a beautiful park in the middle of Epping, one of our highly populated suburbs of the Parramatta local government area.
I love Boronia Park, and it's the most unique setting. I mean, we are so close that you wouldn't know it to Epping Station, so close to a very urbanised area, but here we sit among the gum trees talking to me now.
We're on Durra land, so it's been here for a long time, and I always look up at some of these trees and look and think, oh, well, this is kind of a special place because it has that natural feel to it.
Change doesn't happen for nothing. So what was the tipping point? Why did Boronia Park need something new?
In the early years, we started with an association with 4,000 or 5,000 people over, say, 30 clubs. Today, there are 35 clubs in this association with 16,000 players every weekend lining up to play the game.
We're a growing city. We are looking to build more community facilities to cater for our growing community. We recognise the import of these things. We call them third spaces. Your primary is where you live, and your secondary is where you work or study, but the third tier, and the one most crucial to local government, is those third spaces, and that's parks, that's community centres.
When I first started back in '73, there were no home units in Boronia Park. They were all individual homes. Now they've all become home units all the way around the park. This is a great hive of people for living.
The need for an upgrade to the amenities building here was driven by increased demand from the population and also an increased interest in the sport from both boys and girls.
In years gone by, if a lady wanted to play in Epping Eastwood, we didn't have ladies' teams in those days. Epping Eastwood founded ladies' football in this association.
When I first started, there was no female teams, so the females would play with the boys. As they got to about the age of 13, they would fall away, sort of thing.
We have, from the last couple of seasons now, a ladies team, or multiple ladies teams, so we're looking to expand in those areas.
Now we have an under 9 girls, we have an under 14 girls, and we have all age ladies team.
The club was already one of the most popular clubs in this local area. With the rise of young girls wanting to play football as well, or soccer, there was also a need to be able to have facilities that would support young boys and young girls to be able to play those sports.
In the early days, before the pavilion, the club made do with whatever it could.
We started off, I believe, in a tent, and then we eventually went to a caravan, and then by the time I got here in 1973, we had a little brown shed. At that time, the storeroom, the office and the canteen of the Epping Eastwood Football Club. That was a rough time for us, and it was normal from those days, especially for Premier League players, to drop their dacks on the hill and change into their shorts. We have become a bit more sophisticated as the years have gone on.
The old building was just solid brick. It had 2 change rooms, had a referee's room, we had a canteen, and we did have a small meeting room out the back. It was quite small, old, but it did us for quite a few years.
The previous clubhouse had been built, I think, some 40 years earlier, and was, quite a long in the tooth structure. And this is a well-established club with a big cohort of players, and there's no doubt that given the aged nature of the previous building, it had certainly come time for a new facility to be built.
If you don't have those foundations, it's really hard to retain members because they'll go and play somewhere else that has something like that.
An organisation such as a club like this, be it soccer or cricket or any other sporting club at this level, needs its volunteers. Our volunteers build the club, they become the club, and they are very, very important people.
One of the most important things in a new pavilion is that it can accommodate the needs of the whole community. It was really important in this build to ensure that the pavilion would be able to accommodate the needs into the next 50 years, and that was a really important component.
After the break, we'll hear what the community hope to see in the new pavilion and the ups and downs of bringing it to life. See you after the break. With a new chapter unfolding at Boronia Park, we turn now to what the club and council were looking for in the new building. The community didn't just have a say. They rolled up their sleeves and helped shape what came next.
Council come to us and said we have $200,000 to do up the old building. One of the things we wanted was 4 change rooms. We just wanted plenty of space and some 21st century facilities.
This project started out with an interesting brief. What the council wanted us to do is to build a replacement sporting pavilion for the community that would sit in its context in an appropriate and beautiful way. Primarily, it was that the soccer club had a good, safe, dry home base because their previous one wasn't such. And so this building kind of works really hard in bringing all of those things together.
We first had a meeting with council and Jesse, the architect. They tried to change the original building into what we could use, but it just wasn't practical. And then finally, council said, okay, nah. So then we had a few more meetings with Jesse and his team to nut out a few of the details of what we would like.
We wanted something that was obviously fresh and new, and we wanted something that when you came to watch games that, you could bring your family down, your friends down, and had function and purpose to it. It was aesthetically pleasing and it fit in with the trees, so it didn't look out of place.
There was a lot of community input right at the beginning. The community was very heavily invested, both from the football club, but also broadly from the community. We ran a number of workshops, so it was us and these community groups, as well as the council. It was a really collaborative process.
At that stage, the drawings were happening, meetings with council, going through what they thought and then what we thought. At times there was a big difference between what council thought and to what we sort of thought. We kept working on it sort of thing and finally come up with these plans.
And then the approvals finally came through after a lot of deliberation. There was a lot of back and forth.
There were a lot of people invested in this site and this park, but also what was potentially going to be here, this building, and lots of people kind of really cared about it, which is really cool because the last thing you want to be doing is building something that people don't really care about.
With a builder appointed, the first task was to say goodbye and move out of the old pavilion, clearing the way for a new chapter at Boronia Park.
So the initial tender was run and we started that process. We had an initial contractor start work. They started work with bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, and that was all going really well.
The old building, it obviously had its function and purpose to it. When it got demolished, it was a bit sad, to be honest, to see something that you've seen your whole life and playing at the club.
Saying goodbye to the old pavilion was bittersweet. But with little fanfare, it was soon gone, making way for something new.
It all seemed like we were going really well, but then as we'd poured the slab, started getting up some of the framing, we'd got up some of the steel, and then we heard some murmurings from council that there was some problems.
It wasn't long before we hit COVID, and during that time, the guys here alerted me to the fact that the builder hadn't done anything for a long period of time.
And then the next thing we heard that the site was closed up and the contractor had gone into administration.
That impact on the club, just another season, another 2 seasons before they're going to actually have that pavilion. And they continued to operate out of makeshift premises.
We're already set up in the shipping containers, but it was very frustrating trying to get answers from council. Players and everything are always asking, what was happening.
It was pretty awful because we had a site that was not weathertight. It was nowhere near complete. It was a site that has a lot of community expectations on it.
It's always the case in local government that with projects, if you don't complete them in a timely fashion, the cost continually rises. So you're constantly aware that the longer something sits, the more difficult it becomes to complete. So you want to really, if you find yourself in this quite unique situation of having to change jockey midway through the race.
To be honest, I didn't hold much hope for the building to actually be finished. And so I just thought it was going to be such a big deal if this building actually got completed.
There was a sense of urgency for us. I mean, we knew this had to be built. The club, who are crying out for this, justifiably so.
That was really disheartening, and then of course council had to go through the whole process again of tendering and getting the project back on track. When it's your private house, it may take a certain period of time, but when it's a government project, these things always drag out.
The next steps were really important. Council invited lots of contractors to tender, and they got only a number of people actually tendering, and out of that tender, they engaged one. Well, I'm just so surprised even that process even went through. We were just thrilled that someone had signed up.
But what came next was something worth waiting for. After the break, the pavilion takes shape, and we see how a bold vision became a space the whole community could call home. With a new contractor on board, the focus shifted to risk assessment. The site already had slabs and steel in place, so the team, including the architect and engineers, worked to audit what was built and what still needed doing. The goal was to de-risk the project moving forward, identifying which elements could be safely retained and which needed to be demolished. Some defective work was removed entirely, while other areas were salvaged to avoid rebuilding from scratch. It wasn't a perfect clean slate, but it gave everyone a solid foundation to continue with confidence.
I think the time was pretty good in terms of what the contractor really was able to achieve finishing off the building. I don't think anyone actually understands the enormity of what they took on. Delivering this building, they did a really good job.
With the new pavilion completed, let's explore the design behind this beautiful space. Boronia Park sits on the lands of the Cumberland Plain, country that was cared for by Indigenous communities for thousands of years. The remnant forest around the pavilion is a powerful reminder of that history, a living connection to the past. Inspired by this landscape, the building's design draws on the language of the forest. Vertical timber columns echoing tree trunks, filtered light playing through slats like sunlight through leaves.
The entry sequence I really love. This experience of going from outside, from in the forest to internally in the breezeway. And I really love the quality of the light in the breezeway. That notion that you can see beyond, and the beyond opens up as you move towards it. The other space that I really love is the meeting room, which is a more pragmatic utilitarian room. But this is a space dedicated to the soccer club, and this is a space for their meetings. Whilst it's an internal space, we really looked to bring some elements of the external in. And so we've got high-level views of the surrounding trees in. The intention behind those windows is to bring in views of the outside, and particularly the trees. So we wanted to not only see the trees, but see the canopy of the trees. And then from that, we've also got the masonry, the bricks, which have that interplay of light, that cast of shadow. Because they're that dark colour, they have that kind of depth of colour to it. And they cast back to the original building. It's a reference to what was previous here.
One of the best things about this pavilion is how it's just so unassuming in its environment. Having the timber features really fits so nicely with these beautiful trees. It's not this big, overbearing building.
We have a building which I think is uniquely complementary to its setting. You look at the wood panelling on the building and the shape of it, the way it fits into the park setting. I'm impressed with how complementary it is. It's not just a cookie cutter design. It is quite a beautiful pavilion for something that is a utility.
The feedback has been very good. They're all glad that they're able to get the facilities. It's been a good, positive feedback. Don't think I've had any bad reports.
Now we can, have like a pizza night in the back room. We can put the TV on. We can have the kids come in. We're not sitting out on the ground in the dark. We've actually got purpose to it.
It has been a successful project. I mean, it's like anything worth doing. Sometimes, there are encumbrances. And I think back to the day where we had the grand opening with the club. And by the time we got to that opening, there was a really good sense and a really good feeling amongst the club and council to have completed this project.
This project is very complex for such a small project, really. It brings together lots of contrary and complex issues, diverse stakeholders, obviously a fragmented construction process. What I'm proud of is that we've been consistent through that whole process, and we've been here from start to finish, and we've been able to see that process through. And we've been able to enjoy the excitement of the beginning stages, the heartache of the middle, the heavy lifting of the next part, and then the joy of the end part.
The fact is, it will continue to deliver for the club for decades to come, and it guarantees their future success as a club in the area.
It's for the good of the community. It's recognised as such. We all play our part, whether it be the council, the state government, or the club. Anything we contribute to sporting clubs, it's for the benefit of our players, whether they be male or female, is for the good of the club and the good of our country.
We started out with a leaky, shady, dark, horrible building that no one liked, that constantly got vandalised. 4 years down the track, we've now got this. It's been a process, no doubt, but at the end of the day, I see it as a success.
I've had a building named after me, a building I'm very, very proud of. I was very happy with the previous one that got knocked down, but this one will see me out, and I can't really speak any higher of what we've got here today.